Welcome amigos to Three Amigos Motorsports. If you're new here, today we're going to do a little Victory versus Harley comparison because we do both a lot of Victory content, Harley content, adventure content, metric bikes, we do it all. So make sure you hit that subscribe button below. If you're a faithful subscriber, thank you for watching. If you're a long-term subscriber, you might actually remember this spot. We filmed one of our first videos here before microphones. So hopefully the DJIs take care of us this time. You can hear me clearly. And we're going to get started. We're going to compare my two trusty baggers. And to my Victory fans, I should also mention, sadly, I'm down to one Victory. I had to let the highball go after making room for the KTM. Only so many bikes you can pay taxes on and keep in your garage. But it's a sad day. So I'm going to pick some highlights of these bikes and try to compare them directly as I can. Apples to apples and maybe apples to oranges. We'll see. Just a little background. Bought both these bikes new. Bought this in 2014. She's got just under 70K on her now. The Road Glide I bought in 2020 as a limited. Tour packs off of it right now. Creeping up on 25K in the last couple years. So I'll put a lot of miles on both. So that helped me form my opinions. We'll start with aesthetics. I actually hated the look of the cross countries to start. I had a buddy that bought a Crossroads, and that entire season I said the ass end of it's ugly. It looked like a Hornet, blah, blah, blah. And when I went and bought this bike, I actually test rode a Street Glide the same day, and ultimately ended up with the cross country. But I don't know, one day I woke up and decided I liked the way it looks, and I still do. It's got a lot of different style to it, a little more futuristic than a Road Glide. I like my bright red color. You know, you don't see a fully red bagger that often. I know Harley did it in 2010, I think, but all right. So we're going to talk about just overall comfort. Both of them are pretty comfort as far as ergonomics and all that, but I guess that's custom to what I did to them. You know, the bars I want and everything. Both of them have different bars on them, as you can see. But one of the biggest things Victory just excelled at out of the box is suspension. You know, Harley just leaked their new CVOs. They're just finally getting around in 2024 to an inverted front end and possibly a monoshock, I don't know. But this Victory out of the box, I think 4.5 inches of travel in the rear opposed to 3 on the touring and only 2 on a special or standard, and just that's not enough to work the bumps out. Your spine's left to do the rest of it, so you hit something big in the road and you know you slip a disc. And anyway, this bike, like again, suspension's just phenomenal. I think there's 5.6 inches of travel in the front or something like that. A lot of room to work out the bumps. The monoshock handles great. One of the things Victory did, this is a backbone design, so there's no frame underneath it, which brings the motor and entire powertrain down a few inches. So this bike has a lower center of gravity and just handles a little bit better and sucks up the bumps overall out of the box. That being said, my Harley, I couldn't ride it stock. The back just destroyed your back, and the front was just wishy-washy and unpredictable. So if you watch my other videos, this is running RWD shocks in the rear, which got it up to about 4 inches of travel, and some Fox cartridges in the front. So I had to spend almost $2K to get it up to par with the Victory. This still sucks up bumps better by far, stock. That being said, with the money in suspension, this one handles a little tighter, but not out of the box, if that makes sense. So we're going to give the nod to Victory on that one, hands down, easy decision. Looking at other comfort features for a long trip, long haul bagger, you want to talk about wind management. That was a big thing I tried to figure out in the Victory. I've tried 5 different windshields. I had the lowers and these vents here, which work great. You know, you open them up like that, you get some rolling wind under to cool you off, but a lot of buffeting up top. A lot of conversations about that in another video, different windshield help. People said the Madstad. Out of the box, the Harley must have really spent their time in the wind tunnel. Fixed fairing, it's one of those things once you get used to, I think it'd be hard to ever go back. This bike goes down the highway like a dream. Really no buffeting, the wind just kind of slides over the top of my helmet. This bike makes it easy to soak up highway miles. You know, you don't really get pushed around from big rigs or anything like that. So awesome going down the highway. That being said, like, you know, undisclosed locations in Mexico, topped out at 111 where the governor This thing's actually boring. It's so stable, you just sit there, you could set the cruise if it would work at that speed, and it's stable as ever. Big fan of the fixed fairing. So that being said, we give the nod to Harley for wind management, let's say. Some people, Rogue Life fairings are love and hate. I love the way the Rogue Life fairing looks. Some people get hung up on the fact that it doesn't move when they corner, but I don't know why you're staring at your fairing going around the corner. You should be looking where you're going. All right, a couple other points I wanted to talk about. We'll just talk about overall reliability. I think everybody knows by now, Victory is long out of business since 2017. So that's kind of a knock against them because they'll make parts for 10 years. This leads me to another video I think we're gonna do is should you still buy a Victory? But we'll get into that, it's another topic. But reliability of this bike, if you can handle doing an oil change, you can handle a Victory. In 70K, the only thing that has failed on this bike was the used power commander that I put in it. Other than that, it's been through probably 2 sets of bearings, 4 sets of tires, probably on my 3rd set of brakes. It's never given me a code. It's never left me stranded. There was a recall in the beginning for some slop in the tolerance of the bag latches. These like to open on the highway. I still trust this bike to go across country. Yeah, there's that little bit in the back of your mind, like what if, because where do you get the parts? But this bike has been bulletproof. I believe it to still be that way. I think the only reason it's not ridden as much is because it's the older one. But that being said, this is my first time out on this year. Still thrilled to hop back on it. So, talking about the Harley, it's given me no reason to not trust its reliability, but you know, Harley still kind of has that, you know, stigma of not being reliable. So much so that I spent some coin on extended warranty, so I have another 4 years of coverage on this bike because my plan is to just keep putting miles on it because I really don't see the point in getting anything newer right now because all they've done is put colors on them. Went through service for once for some little things, nothing major, but there's the things I don't trust, like, you know, this bike definitely consumes some oil. I don't check my oil on that, and that might be bad practice, but I put 4.5 quarts in, 4.5 quarts comes out. I check it every 5K. You know, this has some issues getting around the EPA. If you watch the other video about the oil breather, you know, you get a lot of blow-by in the intake. So there's definitely some consumption happening there, but it's under warranty, I guess. The plus side of the Harley is, should you have an issue, there's 2,000 something Harley dealerships in the United States. You're on a trip, hopefully you can get to a dealer, but that doesn't mean breaking down doesn't ruin your trip. But I think Harley with the M8, it's been a proven platform. It's come a long way from like the old days. You know, I think people are still hating on Harley reliability from, you know, the AMF days. But so I guess in summary, it hasn't given me a reason to distrust it. But I think Victory still takes a nod, just some my proven mileages of just truly nothing. And in this group, Bobby, you got about what, 40K on your Victory? Have you fixed anything? Graham, 100K on your Vision. We've done a lot of wear parts, but have you really fixed anything? No. So it's a lot of proven miles there. So I'm giving the nod to the Victory on that one. So I don't know who's keeping score here, but we'll go to the next thing. Cut for a sec. These guys, you know, I don't know if they're trying to go to work here or something.
Set the plane off for a minute so we can film.
Okay. As we continue here, another topic I wanted to highlight on is just fit and finish. You might have seen, if you watched our Victory hate video, we picked on the fit and finish of the Victory a little bit. That being said, it's really easy to give the win to the Harley here. Just overall, it's better paint, tighter finish on like all the hand controls. I think that's my biggest beef with the Victory, is all the hand controls kind of look like an afterthought. You know, your stereo controls look like they thought about them after they made the bike. Nothing's internally wired. All these add-on lowers and stuff, I say this joke a lot, but when you hit some train tracks or something, it sounds like a box of Legos. Granted, that's 70K, but Bobby's 40 or 50,000 mile Harley is it's just a tighter finish. You know, the only thing Harley cheaped on a 30,000 plus bike is, you know, they gave you garbage speakers to start with, and, you know, probably should have come with LEDs. Victory gets those, I guess, but it wins for fit and finish, which leads me to another point, I guess. A lot more aftermarket for the Harley, so it's a lot easier which is, I guess it's a pro and con because it's almost overwhelming with the amount of choices trying to pick stuff if you're like me who loses sleep at night with their indecisiveness about what they want to do with their bike. And then every time you say it's done, you see something else, whereas there was never that much for the Victory, and then they just went out of business, so that bike's been done for a while. So we're going to, again, nod to the Harley on fit and finish. Let's talk about, I guess, their heart's power. I mean, that's something you buy. If you're like us, you pick your motorcycle based on how it feels, how it sounds. Both these bikes have been through a variety of sound. Right now, this sounds like actual garbage, I realize, letting Graham ride it here, because I have the quiet core in my Vance & Hines Pro pipe. It sounds like shit. It's kind of more just to save my ears for long trips. But the regular Pro pipe, best budget pipe I think for this bike without spending $1,000+ on a stainless pipe. The Victory also got the Vance & Hines on it. Got a nice deep sound to it. I've had straight pipes on it, which sound amazing actually with a big, what is it, 4.5-inch pipe, if you don't mind your ears bleeding. And for you Victory guys, I also have a set of Millers in the attic, which are straight with a small baffle in them. Those sound great too. I kind of derailed there from power, but sound, there's no winner there. It's just, they both sound amazing. This has got a little more chop, the Harley here with the cam in it. These cams are more of a mid to top end. You don't really get that, but it's different. So with that segue, this bike made 118 horse, 124 foot-pounds, so it'll walk this bike all day long. But power is just different. This bike, I like that there's a little bit of cam chop with the torque cam. I could have made way better numbers with this. This bike made, I think, 96 horsepower, which was rather sad. And I honestly don't even remember the torque. I think like 112 foot-pounds. But in its defense, I did everything with factory Harley parts to maintain my warranty. So if I put a proper cam in it, like a red shift, or I'm sorry, a zippers cam or an SNS or anything like that, 456 cam, could have got it right up near the Victory numbers. So the power is just different. This has more low-end passing power, cruising. It's right where you would want to be in the throttle, but it starts to fall off in the top. The Victory doesn't really start to light till like 35, 4,000 RPM, but it just doesn't stop. I mean, it pulls right until the rev limiter before you even realize you're at the rev limiter, and it does that in every gear and just does not fall off. This in its top end gets a little shakier, back to the point of non-fixed fairing. So the motors I love this equally but differently. They both have their perks. I guess the Harley gets a little nod for, I don't know if it's liquid cooled heads or just better management of air. That only gets so warm and that just stays at that point. This, as the weather gets to be over 85 degrees, you start smelling chicken cooking, and that would be my legs usually. After riding this for many seasons, I don't know how I rode this thing in the heat. So honestly, I ride this a lot in the spring and fall when it's cooler. So no clear winner there, but lost my train of thought. So with this, I could go on all day, and in some ways they are apples and oranges, and I can nitpick each bike differently. And so, you know, some days I just love and hate them, but really I love these motorcycles. I've been vowed to keep this one, maybe get buried with it or something, because a lot of memories with this. Oddly, I'm not as attached to this bike. Don't get me wrong, I love this bike. I think it's knowing that even if someone stole this out of my garage tonight, I'll get my insurance check, I'll go pick out a different color, that's fine, but like, it wouldn't be the same with this. So I guess you could say I love them each equally but differently for their strengths and weaknesses. So I think if we tally this up, I gave the nod in summary to the Victory for what? Suspension and reliability mostly overall. The Harley took the lead for fit and finish and just overall wind management, which is a big thing to me because we do a lot of highway miles on our trips here. And then we dabbled on just preferences of motor and parts and everything. So in conclusion, I think if you want to give the win to either bike, you can't. So with that bit of useless information, make sure you hit the subscribe button below. And thanks for watching. Leave a comment below if you own a Victory or a Harley, you know, what you like and don't like about it. You know, we love to answer our comments and talk about bikes. So again, thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe button, best way to support us, and we'll see you on the next one.